Hello, instructional design students. This week in discussion board 5, we're going to be taking a look at the guided and independent practice. This is going to be the we do, you do portion of the scaffolding and the minutes that are required for that, and then the closure for activity in the minutes, and also the technology, who's going to be using it. So let's take a closer look real quick at the TFC lesson plan template before we look at the components individually in detail. So first off, for that guided independent practice, this is where you're encouraging your students to think critically, provide specific details about what the students will be doing, as well as what you will be doing as the teacher. Include technology when appropriate. If you're using more than one grouping format, again, be sure to include each format you're going to use. And remember, we marked off grouping last week, but it's also going to be included in this portion too. And then in our closure, we want to verbalize or demonstrate the learning or skill one more time. Have the students do that. And this may include, but it's not limited to, some type of assessment, students summarizing what they have learned in class, or stating future learning goals and objectives. And we'll take a look at that more closely in a moment. And then again, let me know what kind of technology is going to be used and who's using it. Is this something the teacher is using because it's just the smartboard, or students accessing Google Classroom? You want to tell me that as well. So let's take a look at these components here. So first off, this guided practice, the we do section. This means you and the student are doing this together. And this is a time to practice a skill or apply knowledge where you're still able to walk them through that and give them that additional support and scaffolding and support to help them achieve this goal. Now, this should be done before a student works without your help. For example, you don't want them working on math problems that they're going to practice wrong. You want to make sure that they're doing the correct steps before you release them to work on your own. So examples could be a think aloud. As I do this problem, I will tell you what I'm thinking out loud as I work it out. Or have students work in pairs or a small group while you as the teacher circle and facilitate and can check on the work they're doing to make sure that they're understanding the steps and the sequence. Now, keep in mind, doing homework is not guided practice. I'm not saying it's bad to do homework during class, but this is not the guided practice. Homework is reinforcement of a learned skill, an independent practice. Guided practice means that you're still assisting the students in learning this. And then we get to the you do, the independent practice. And this can be some sort of a formative assessment. Now remember, formative doesn't have to be graded. You can just quickly look around the room, see who's understanding and who's not. And this allows students to develop fluency by practicing without your guidance or supervision or other students. And the purpose is for them to develop confidence and competence in the steps that they're doing. So for example, it could be journal writing, silent reading, learning centers, exit tickets, quizzes, tests, a practice sheet of some sort. There are lots of options available. And finally, you never just want to abruptly end a lesson. You always want to have some type of closure to it where you're reviewing in some way, shape, or form. And this verifies that students have learned that most important piece of your lesson objective. And oftentimes these are going to be formative in nature, but again, they don't necessarily need to be graded. And it's an opportunity for the students to demonstrate or verbalize what they have learned one final time. So here are some examples. If you've got a visual learner, have them draw pictures of similarities and differences of a character that you read about that day in a story. Or if it's an auditory learner, have them tell you about the similarities and differences, or prepare a quick little snapshot of what they would say and tell the class or a group of students. If you have a kinesthetic learner, create a 30-second reenactment that represents the similarities and differences. You can have students create a content web or a mind map of everything they learned that day. You can have them do a self-assessment where they describe their own sense of progress towards understanding. You can revisit the lesson objectives and have them evaluate whether or not they feel they've mastered that. You can have response cards, drawing pictures, writing things, the exit slips or the tickets or sticky notes they hit on the door on their way out saying what they have learned. So there's lots of options available for how you will close your lesson.